Hey everyone, welcome to No Guts, No Galaxy podcast number 190. I am your host, Daeron, and your resident wizard. And joining me today, as usual, is my co-host and resident hobbit friend, Phil. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit late today, but other than that, I'm good. Yeah.
We'll get to the reasoning behind the lateness shortly. So, today's a little bit different than our last podcast, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny too, because like we recorded on Wednesday and then all of the stuff went down on Thursday, and it was like, well, so this is it now. So yeah, no, yeah, it's been a crazy sort of week, and being late isn't unacceptable. For a wizard, because they're always on time, but for a hobbit, it's sort of
Hobbits
it's
make their own
acceptable.
rules.
Yeah, it's acceptable. But yeah, man, you got a cup of coffee? Are you good to go?
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Happy
Oh,
coffee day. Every
I
day
love
is coffee day.
I don't. It's it's so funny because like it's sort of like beer when it comes to coffee. Is where like if someone says I don't like coffee, do you question them? I do.
Well, it's like people that say they don't like animals.
Oh,
What?
like I don't
Yeah.
like dogs, and I'm like I don't like you. I don't
Yeah,
know how I
exactly.
feel about that.
No, here's the deal with coffee. There's health reasons why I get why some people don't drink coffee. You know, it's a diuretic, and some
But
people
it's
have
not.
issues with it.
No. That's BS.
Well,
No.
tell that to all the people that get the shits every time they drink a cup of
Okay. Well,
coffee.
like that's because they need to harden the hell up. But you know.
I was, like I said, indoctrinated into coffee when I was very young, working as a butcher. So it's been a part of my life forever. It's funny. That's something that, of course, over the last 8 or 9 years, you and I have connected and bonded over Battletech and MechWarrior. But obviously, we've also connected very much over coffee. Coffee has been a big part of NGNG and in our daily existence.
I mean, yeah, and then on top of that too, what I was saying is connected to beer is like the idea that most people that I talk to, it's like, well, why don't you have like coffee? And it's usually because they were given some just tar black crap and saying, hey, this is coffee, and it's like, no, you can put some sugar, you can put some Truvia, you can put some cream, you can cut out the.
Oh, you can
And plus
totally.
there's really good beans and good brands and different
Yeah.
roasts and stuff, and it's just like beer. Whereas usually what happens and someone's like, I don't like beer, the first question I has is like, oh, okay, like what have you tried? And it's like usually like, oh well, someone gave me an IPA and or like Coors, and I'm like, yeah, you can't drink shit beer, like that's
No
you
doubt.
know so I don't know.
Hello, Russia. Good to have you here. Um, yeah, I mean and the other thing is, I think if you get somebody good coffee or good beer, and you always hear the taste grew on me or whatever. I think it grows on you because
It's an age
you have
thing.
good stuff.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
it
think
might
I
be an
think
age
age
thing.
plays in, right? Because like your taste buds change and
Well,
stuff like
but I've
that.
loved
But
coffee since I was a kid, and you know who loves coffee? My freaking daughter.
yeah.
She loves coffee. She begs for it all the time. We hardly ever give it to her, but
Now
she
I was gonna
loves
say
coffee.
that though. That's a health thing. Like I don't. What's the effects of caffeine on kids? I don't know. I mean, we were drinking
Well,
sodas growing up,
the
like
in
fiends. So
actually young kids, the effect is the opposite of adults, and it makes kids tired. But it doesn't do that to her anymore. I think she's
she's
grown
past it.
past
You're
that
like
or whatever.
shit.
She wakes up and first thing she's like, "Oh, where's my cup of
You're
coffee?"
gonna have to switch to the hard stuff, man. Just straight vodka.
Yeah. No,
But
it's cool. Well, let's talk about what's different today than our last podcast.
you're wearing a beanie or a toboggan, as they call it,
I'm
instead
not
of a
wearing my
hat.
hat.
I approve, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you. I know you
It's
dig.
about the eyes,
Hey,
right?
as long as it's not that weird hat you wore on stream, I'm okay with. So okay,
Wait, what weird hat?
that whatever it was like the Alaskan or
Oh,
fish
oh, you're
one.
talking about my Alaska hat. Don't make fun of it. It
This is
was
a
a
hat, Darren. You see what I'm wearing? That's a hat.
yeah,
All right.
as long as it
See,
has a gun on it.
it
Uh,
doesn't have a funky bill. You can see, like this is a hat, not whatever the hell you are wearing.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway,
Yeah, let's
for
talk.
those of you that don't know, NGNG was let go of its contract from Piranha Games last week. So Phil and I, literally the day, as he was saying,
Thursday.
the day after we did the podcast, we were let go.
Just like that.
Just
Peace.
like that. So
No. Yeah, man, it was sort of crazy. To be fair though, like we knew this was a possibility. Like, and this is something like I've talked me and you in length, and obviously my wife and stuff, but we knew that it could potentially happen because we didn't really know where the future was going with PGI, the game, stuff like that too. So like we didn't know. And so for me at least, it was a shock when it happened, just because you had recently been to the party and everything seemed, great and stuff like that. But from, obviously that wasn't the case as far as, that, but, it was a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise. It was a surprise just because we felt, everything was going well, but it wasn't a surprise because the writing was on the wall, at least in my opinion. So yes.
yeah, basically we, as far as the writing being on the wall, number one, the video game industry is very much, it's not, you can't necessarily rely on a particular or specific job at a certain specific developer to
Yeah.
last forever. It's a very, in and out type of industry. People are hired, people are fired. And and never has to do necessarily with anything personal, which this didn't. It's just business, and budgets change, etc. This isn't. Also, we're not making any statements as regards to the state of Piranha Games, MechWarrior Online, MechWarrior 5, because we don't know it. We don't know the financials. We have no idea, what the future holds or whatever for Piranha Games and the titles. But
I'm, like a part of me, I'm okay with this. It's something I've struggled. I've talked with you about, like being in the know and then not being able to talk about it or share it, and then being in the positions we were put so much stress. And you may be like, oh well, suck it up, Buttercup, and I can understand some of that. But like the stress of like not knowing, or the stress of you have a game like MWO and you love it and you want more attention to it, but then it's not getting any love, and it's not going to get any love anytime soon, and stuff like that. And then you're just like, all of the culmination of things behind the scenes, I'm okay with just not knowing anymore, just being just detached. So on one hand, it's a big relief for me on a personal level. And the past 2 years with the development of Mech 5 and all the resources that have obviously been pulled away from MWO, it wears on you. And I talked to you about it, and because really that's the only person I could talk to. I could talk to my wife about it, and she got it and gets it to some extent, but it's like, but no. So that happened. That was, like I said, it's crazy because when you do something for 8 years and it's been weird streaming on my channel this week, just because, it is different. And, one of the things that I remember you were saying is, appreciate what we have here, because you never know if it's going to be there for, the next, like MechCon or whatever. Like that wasn't you like saying and knowing that there wasn't going to be one. It was just the fact of like, hey, these are really cool times, enjoy them while you can. And because we don't know. And one of the factors was, as far as like stress for me and you, was when Russ was talking about, and we haven't heard anything, and he hasn't said anything about the extension for Microsoft and all that, and they're waiting on. So from like our perspective, we didn't know where we were going to be. And like, well, what does that mean for NGNG if you guys don't get the extension, or do get the extension? Like, are we, blah, blah, blah. And so, not knowing if you're going to have a job. And so I started taking steps, months ago, of looking at the financial aspect for me and saying, okay, if we were to lose our jobs, our gig, what we got going here, where would that put me and my wife? And so we decided, you know, I had a very heart-to-heart talk, and it was rough and stuff like that with my wife, and be like, hey, you know, we need to make some decisions and cut down our expenses, and one of those expenses being this house. And so it's been a roller coaster. And I mean, we just, you know, luckily, speaking of houses, it went on the market Friday. We had viewers come. One couple came Friday, and then we had an open house where I think 5 couples or something came on Saturday. And the couple on Friday made an offer full asking price and all that. So that was huge weight off of our shoulders. But it was just one of those things where, okay, what's next, right? So yeah, I don't know, man. It's been wild. I told people on my stream, because I think some people popped in and they're like, oh, maybe you can tell the truth. It's like, well, first off, a lot of the stuff that we did was under NDA, so we can't talk about it. 2, I'm not going to sit here and bash PGI or Russ or any of that. Like, that's not the relationship I had with them. Same thing. I'm probably speaking for Daeron here. Like, the amazing opportunity that we had and still have today to some extent because of you guys is because of that relationship. And, I have nothing but, respect. And it's one of those things where it's like, sort of goes back to what we've been saying. This is us. This is who we are. And yes, when you're under a contract, and this is something that I think a lot of people out there don't understand or don't want to accept, is that just like in real life, just like in real normal jobs that you would call it, you can't go to your boss and be like, hey boss, I'm going to put you in the corner. Hope you like it, and blah, blah, blah. And to be fair, I've done that a few times to Russ and stuff, and it was not freaking cool. Daeron and me had some heart-to-heart talks behind the scenes because, it was me growing up, me not understanding the implications and stuff like that, or blah, blah, blah. And, so the whole thing, I'm so grateful that we had that experience. It's a relief that we don't have to have that pressure on us on that one side of things. And on the other side, you're a little bit unnervy because you're like, okay, what's next? What are we going to do? And what am I going to do? And, can we make this work? And blah, blah, blah. So it's exciting. It's a little bit nerve wracking, and it's been a wild ride. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the chat cares about is pants right now. Not going to confirm one way or the other regarding pants for either of us. But, you were saying you've grown up, and there was things, both of us have spent, this was almost 10 years of us doing this. And this was a new experience for both of us. We certainly didn't start NGNG, the podcast, with this in mind. And it kind of just all happened. Everything just kind of, not without hard work, definitely with hard work, but everything just kind of came together as far as the opportunity that was provided to us. And it was kind of lightning in a bottle. And I feel like, we've almost been doing this for 10 years. The whole situation was like a lightning in a bottle, and we got very lucky. And I feel very grateful for having the opportunity to be in the industry, and to be such a part of Battletech and MechWarrior. And, to a certain extent, we have become a part of the history of this IP that we love so much. And that's really cool. It feels good. We're in the credits for MechWarrior 5, and obviously we've been a big part of the community for a long time, and that means a lot to both of us. And yeah, I have been saying for a long time, enjoy this, because we don't know how long it's going to last. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this, it's a very volatile industry, and so we were lucky to have such a long run. But now maybe this will make a little bit of sense as far as why you and I have been basically for the last few months or more looking for housing alternatives and cheaper alternatives. And this is legitimately why. We didn't know that this was coming for sure, but we had a feeling that it could happen this year because we didn't know what was going to happen with the license for MechWarrior for PGI. We didn't know if it was going to continue or not. So we were basically kind of getting ready for this just in case. But that being said, after going up to the party and, getting a feel for the situation, I wasn't expecting it this soon. And we were definitely taken by surprise. It's hard, obviously. We've been doing this for a long time, almost 9 years. And so you get very used to things, and you get very accustomed to, your lifestyle and what you're doing every day. And I've been struggling with it. I've been struggling a lot with it. Depression or whatever, because you and I have been doing this for, like I just said, a very long time. And as I've always said, I love my job. I've loved my job. So the good news is, I'm getting a little emotional because it's been a great ride. I've totally had a great time with you, and I've had a great time with all of you out there. So thank you for that, from the bottom of my heart. You take it for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's crazy. Again, dealing with us behind the scenes and talking, and like, what does that mean? And so, obviously it came and went, and it came and went sort of surreally. We had a pretty quick phone call, and they were super nice about it. And, the reasons are to be expected. And like I said, we were just at sort of a crossroads ourselves of like, all right, well, what does this mean? And anyways, so it happened.
Let's talk about what it means.
Yeah, what it means is, like I said, no more having to, like, as far as me, I no longer have to stress about knowing and not being able to talk about something, or knowing and not having to, I don't know if the words hide your sort of feelings about something. Like, I don't know if it's that, like, for instance, like your frustration, like my frustrations, Daeron knows, like behind the scenes, like I was super frustrated because, I loved MWO and I wanted it to get more love that it deserved. And and I don't have to worry about that necessarily anymore. And, I can, voice my opinion without anything holding back. And that's a trade-off that, we made, to be fair. And that's okay. I
do want to be clear though on that topic, is that, people, I did see the comments like, oh, now you can finally say, tell the truth or whatever, or give juicy details. One thing that's very important, and Phil and I have always said this, is we've never lied. Who we are is who we are. I'm not an actor. Like, believe me, I'm not an actor. I've tried, with voice acting. And neither is Phil. We're very honest, and we are who we are. We're very positive people. We like to remain positive. That's why we don't have one of those kind of hate-filled channels where we're always trying to tear people down or tear things down.
Yeah, but so, I think my point being is, I no longer have to hide the fact of frustration, or like when I say I wasn't able to say how I feel, it's the fact of, like I said, when you have when you're doing something, like for me, streaming every single day, if I was to just be straight toxic or whatever, I'm not doing my job, and I'm not doing my job to the level I so yeah, you have to spin it in some way and make it whatever it is. That being said, like when we have like a dev update or Russ or something like that on, you can't put your boss in a corner. You can't put him in a situation where he doesn't want to, like, it could just be like, for example, he doesn't want to talk about faction play because maybe there's nothing new to faction play and he doesn't want to bring up the topic. Well, if you just pop a question to your boss that's something he doesn't want to talk about, guess what? You're now the asshole, and you're putting, like, that's stress on him that now he has to deal with because of your actions. And that's not something you do in any profession. So yes, as far as like, there was no lying as far as that regard, but yeah, we had to definitely sometimes tippy toe around subjects. That's 100% normal. And that is what it is. And I think if you know anything about those type of situations, or if you've dealt in an industry, guess what? That's the same thing across the board. And there's ways, like, and that's what I did, Daeron, is I tried to find ways to discuss, like, whatever it is, weapon balance, mech balance, hardpoint balance, anything. What I would try to do is I would just open the discussion to being, hey, let's think about this. Let's be critical, but let's not be cynical. I did this so much in chat throughout the years of like trying to have a discussion with chat about things that were going on, things that could potentially happen to behind the scenes, or sometimes were. I used to hint at stuff that was coming out all the time, but I couldn't outright say. I'd be like, oh, well, what if they did this? How would you really feel about that?
We dropped so many hints over the years without being able to fully say it. And that's really the restriction that we had, was not being able to talk about things sometimes that we wanted to talk about, but it was never about that we had to lie. And absolutely, Ferret, being honest doesn't mean being toxic. However, what I was referring to, and you wouldn't know this, of course, is that behind the scenes, we were, for the entire time of being a podcast, we were, it was requested of us or suggested many times that we basically needed to be more toxic. And
Yeah, you're talking about from community members.
From community members, not from PGI, from people saying
you need to ask the hard questions.
Yeah,
I love
which
that fucking
totally understand all of where that's coming from. But as Phil was saying, we were under contract, we were under NDA, we had a job, and we had to apply those rules to what we were doing. So anyway, where we're at now is that we're continuing. We love BattleTech and MechWarrior still. That's Again, you've all heard a million times probably my connection to BattleTech and MechWarrior and Phil's. It goes way back. It's absolutely honest. We love this franchise. We always have since we could, and that's not going to change. And so Phil and I are now continuing to stream. I'm doing some upgrades to my rig, and we'll be starting that on Monday, and I'll be announcing my schedule. Phil's already started. If you scroll down on the NGNG Twitch page, I do, in my channel description here, have a link to Phil's new Twitch channel, which is at twitch.tv/Tiny Terrier. He's been streaming every day. 100% recommend that you jump over there. In fact, Phil, if you want to drop that link in chat just so that people can have it, jump over there right now. Follow him. He's going to be streaming every day that he can. What did you say? Like Monday through Saturday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday. Yeah, weekends are one of those still, like, especially right now with us, like, planning on packing and moving and stuff soon. So so
that's where Phil is, and this is where I'm going to remain. So NGNG is not owned by Piranha Games. I own NGNG, and this is where I'm going to remain. And Phil and I are going to continue doing the podcasts on Wednesdays. Of course, today is Thursday. Why didn't we do it yesterday? Go check my Twitter. You can find that down below. You'll see we pretty much, I was joking that it was a blizzard, but we got a major snowstorm here yesterday, and completely lost power in all our neighborhood.
2 inches. There's 2 inches of snow, people.
No, it wasn't even a centimeter, but no, it was crazy, and knocked out internet and knocked out power.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem that it was snowing. It was that me and you were literally prepping, and you started doing and I was like, hey, go restart your modem. And then you restart your modem, and it's like,
it didn't come back on.
Oh, I feel like the asshole. Like, you at least had semi, you could have. And okay, so
and why just so you guys know too, Phil and I have been friends. We were friends before we even started the podcast. When we started playing Living Legends together, we remain friends. I'm 100% supportive of what he's doing. I think he's a wonderful streamer. Totally worth going over there and supporting him. And I'm counting on you guys to support me here. Like I said, I'll be starting Monday. I'll be announcing my schedule, and the one thing that hasn't changed from our previous podcast is that we still love being with you guys and interacting with the community and streaming and just this daily, being together and sharing, something that we totally love. Our passions, basically, that's what it is sharing our passions. Phil and I not only grew up loving BattleTech and MechWarrior, but also video games, and then have over the last 10 years developed a love for streaming and the community and everything else. So we will remain. We're going to be here as long as you guys want us and support us.
Yeah, and like I've already had so many people ask, like, hey, why aren't you on NGNG TV anymore? Well, the reality of it is I wanted to do my own thing. And that own thing wouldn't coincide with two people streaming on one channel, but also too is that I have control of everything. It's my destiny.
You're captain of your own ship. Captain, if you don't mind me using that.
No, and I'm on a boat.
Yep.
But that's just the reality, and that's not anything against Daeron, and he knows that, and me and him have literally talked about this forever. But also too is like, because I've had people, well, maybe another contract or something, or maybe you can find something, and I'm like, to be honest, I don't want that. Like, on a personal level, like, again, the cord was cut per se, and I love the experience that I had and stuff like that. But you do have that relief of, whew, okay, and just breathe and just so there's that there. So that's what I'm doing. Again, I'm playing a multitude of games. NGNG will be playing a multitude of games. But yeah, NGNG will be Daeron's channel. The podcast we're going to continue doing. And I've got my own channel. So it's one of those things where don't read into it because there's nothing to be read into it. It's me saying I want to do my own thing. And I think this is the best direction for that. And
which is totally 100% understandable. I certainly didn't have any hard feelings in regards to that. And what Phil's talking about, maybe some of you know the term golden handcuffs or gilded cage. And I think Phil felt it even more than I did, which was just the restrictions of being able to completely cut loose and be who you are and what you want to do, stream what you want to stream, check out new games, etc.
Well, so it's just that like I never liked the fact of you're sort of restricted in how you can approach something, and the way you have to mold maybe a discussion, or if you have to mold something. And to be fair though, I think it helped as far as like the communication skills over the years with the podcast, but also streaming on a daily basis. But approaching like that type of situation, I just don't want to ever be put in a situation where I have to have that happen again. Like it's not good for your soul, sort of, as
and
they
what
say.
and the reality is, what franchise is out there, is there that we'd care about as much as BattleTech and MechWarrior? Like it would have to be an amazing, like insane opportunity that I can't even think exists. Yeah,
I don't have any other. Yeah, I don't have any other.
I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek, my other. No, there's just this was it. And so yeah, totally super happy we had the opportunity. When you look back over the years, the stuff that we've learned, the stuff that we've experienced, the people we've met, the events we've gone to, like I'm so grateful for the experience, and grateful for all of you men and women and boys and girls out there. We appreciate everything that's happened over the years, and getting to meet so many of you and continuing those relationships. So here we are. Phil will be on twitch.tv/tinyferret, or Tiny Ferret. I'm seeing Ferret. Well, he has a tiny name too, doesn't he? But anyway, Tiny Terrier, and maybe Ferret will start a channel soon too now. And I'll be here on NGNG TV. So that's it. That's the news. That's what has been happening over the last week and a half.
It's pushing forward and making it happen. We're going to be successful. We've had success, and we're going to apply what we've learned to the new endeavors.
Absolutely, man. And we're both excited. As much as there's some sadness and some harder feelings to work through, and maybe more for me, I don't know. Super excited. Like I get pumped at the possibilities and the directions that everything can go now. I can finally really say that I can't wait for Cyberpunk to come out, which was delayed today. But
was it supposed to come out today?
No. It was supposed to come out in April, but they just delayed it till the end of the year. Gotcha. So
let's go talk. Let's talk. I mean,
developer that does that.
Yeah, let's talk. Obviously get that out of the way just so people know. Yeah. We normally talk about like boats or container houses, but just sort of give you an update. Like again, we sold the house. We got inspections this Monday.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. We're just super fucking lucky. Oh, and then they were like, they made an offer, full asking price cash. Like, and I'm like, geez, man, like that's insane. And then, so we're looking at either a house, a property, or rent. And right now, my wife is a little bit hesitant to just jump right into, especially if we can't find like if she doesn't love it, then we don't buy it. And I totally, there's no pressure for me. I'm like, okay, cool. I was a little bit frustrated, but I realized that frustration was because of my situation. And so if we can't find that, we're just going to rent. But the thing about renting too is it's fucking expensive. And then we were looking at, well, maybe we just get a piece of land and build there. So we've looked at a piece of property already. Great location as far as like wooded area, bumped up to another neighborhood, so there's no one building behind you. And It was also wooded, but it was on a pretty crazy grade. Like from where it started to where it ended, where there was a 40-foot drop as far as grades.
Dude, could you dig into the hill and then create insulation? Because
no, you could do a basement, but
okay.
The added, just even though it's on the other side of town, it would be like an added potentially 15 minutes to her commute. So
15 minutes each way, or
maybe even, oh yeah. So like, no, not in the mornings. Like mornings, I think are pretty chill. But then there's a piece of property like right down the road. It's 5 minutes. It's right off where her commute to work would be, and it's a lot better. But it's like $20,000 more. And it's also, it's not, I guess what the term is, perked. So they haven't seen if you can do a septic. Like the test hasn't been done. So like you'd have to then ask for that to be done. And then, you know, if it can, then it'll tell you.
That's what I was thinking. Ferret, you know, a hobbit's natural home is underground.
Dude,
so if it's
I would be totally fucking down for that. You're gonna have to get past Danny on that one.
I saw this one container home that was built, and obviously you can do any form of house, but it was the same thing. It was on a grade. They dug into it, so it was basically straight back and then up. And then what they did is they created the roof of the house was a full-on garden, but it was also a water collector so that they could collect their, like, it was the stuff people do, man, is freaking amazing. And I look forward to hearing what you're going to do.
Yeah. So that's the situation going on right now. So we're in flux. We don't have much time really, because we close in literally a month. It's like 31 days from now we close. So
congratulations.
Hopefully we just find our rental, either house or apartment. We get that locked down on the 1st, and then that way we don't have to rush. We have like 2 weeks. We can just move stuff. I think that's what we're going to try to do. So that's what's going on.
Cool, man. Well, I wish you the best. We're obviously doing the same as far as looking to reduce our overhead. We've gone already and looked at some apartments in town. We live in a small town, so rental availability is pretty crap. And the other thing is it's kind of like a touristy town or a retirement town. So tons of and this is a problem I didn't know about until now, but a lot of the homes around here, number one, are either second or third homes, vacation homes or whatever, but also a ton of Airbnbs. And so what happens, and they're Airbnbs that people are using, but they're not at the residence. So people are like in another state or whatever, but they run the B&B. So basically all these homes are being taken up and they're not rentals. You can't buy them. You can't, and so there's essentially like a bit of a housing crisis here. And so, but we're out looking, trying to get a better spot for lower overhead. And then this weekend, speaking of the boats, Saturday morning, we're heading up to check out basically the boat that I want. So if it's all possible, we're going to find out and we'll see what happens with that. But if not, then, we're looking at other means to reduce our overhead, as I mentioned.
Yeah. Well, very cool. I mean, like I said, it's an adventure. That's how I have to look at it too. And right, like your frame of mind of like, okay, hey, cool. We have options here. And so just want to say thank you again to chat. You guys have been awesome and supportive, and I appreciate all the thumbs up and pushes of confidence, and looking forward to seeing what's going on. Obviously, when we get to, I think we got mech. Yeah, we got mech 5 stuff to talk about. So we'll wait till we get there. But let's go and talk about movies, TVs, books.
Well, let's talk about why you were late getting up today. Because it fits right in with this topic. Let's talk about some TV.
Let's talk about some Lost in Space, son.
Let's talk about Lost in Space. It's funny. We were both watching it last night without knowing we were.
Well, I had started it. So I was like on
we both watched season 1.
Yeah, but I had already watched like
enjoyed it.
3 episodes of season 2, and then last night it was like I got done streaming at like 2. Went downstairs, finished the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was like, okay, well, let's watch some. And the next thing you know, it's
6 o'clock in the morning.
It was like 5 something, and I'm like, all right, just one more. And then it was like 6, and I was like, Jesus, I need to go to bed.
I can't binge like you. Not because I physically can't. It's because I'm watching all these shows with my wife. So I basically have to adhere to her schedule.
Yeah, she hasn't watched any Lost in Space, so that's something. But also, too, is like the going to Mandalorian, we watched an episode 1, but then she hasn't watched it anymore.
like
and
it?
we only did the trial because I like,
Right.
again, because of financials right now, I didn't want to. And so I marathoned the damn stuff. So I've watched Mandalorian, but she hasn't. So I'm like,
Good news as far as Mandalorian. Now, months ago, I had read that there was only going to be one season, but there's going to be a season 2. So I don't know if we had talked about that, but my understanding months ago was that they were just going to do, one series, and then they were going to do the next one, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi one that's coming out, and they weren't going to continue.
is that going to be
I-
a Disney series, or is that going to be a movie
Disney.
in the theaters?
Disney series. There may be a movie planned as well. I don't know, but this is another Disney show, and so again, my understanding it was going to be one season, and I thought this was confirmed because when the new Star Wars movie came out, number 9, the guy who plays the Mandalorian, I can't remember his name. I think he's like Hispanic or something like that, or Spanish or something like that. Anyway, he shit all over the new Star Wars movie in social media, like
Pedro
on Twitter.
Pascal?
Yes, it was Pedro Pascal. He shit all over it. He said it's a terrible movie, terrible writing. Like, I was like, oh, well, he's doing that because he knows he's not doing a season 2. Like he doesn't care. He did his Star Wars thing and he's gone. But there's a season 2, so I was really surprised because he was. I'm not saying one way or the other. Magic Pain Glove. I haven't seen the new one.
I liked it.
Yeah, I knew you did. But there's a ton of people out there who have not liked 7, 8, or 9, and I know
y'all are fucking jaded. That's what it is.
But anyway, I was just really surprised. But that basically Disney was allowing that, and then when I saw that there's a season 2, I'm like, wow, he got away with that. But anyway, I love The Mandalorian. As far as Lost in Space, we're on episode 6, I think, of season 2, and I'm actually enjoying season 2 more than I enjoyed season 1. I love season 1.
Season 1 was good. Season 2 is just as good, and I want to strangle Dr. Smith so fucking bad.
Dude,
Jesus Christ!
Think of how great of an actress she is, though. She's such a good actress because you fucking hate her.
It's like Victor Davian Steiner's sister.
I know.
You just want to strangle that bitch. Like, you are evil to the core.
She plays such a good.
Man.
What I want to know is if she ever plays a good person and it's believable. I would imagine that she can play a totally believable good person, but she makes me hate her so much. Yes,
yeah,
but she makes me like her or hate her so much that just even seeing her face gets me angry. And that not on a personal level, but she's just such a good Dr. Smith.
Yeah, but I think last time we were talking about it, it's because like season 1, it's like the real fucked up part about that character is, one, you hate her. For me in particular, it's like, it's one thing to manipulate adults, and it's a completely other thing to manipulate children. And
no doubt, right?
So but yeah, no, if you haven't watched season 2, obviously it just came out, so no spoilers there, but it is fantastic. I like it. I think I'm on the last episode. Maybe I'm like on like 9 out of 10. I don't know. I just turned it off last night because it was 6:05 and I was like, Phil, really? Like, this is what's happened to you? So I climbed in bed and went to sleep. So that's why I didn't wake up till like 2:30.
Yeah, I knew. I figured you did some kind of binging. I think we finished episode 6 last night. All I know is we ended on, and this is a tiny, tiny bit of a spoiler, but not really. The line that we ended on was, "No, Will Robinson."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So the next episode's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, good show. What else are you watching? Any other TV or movies?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, obviously we already watched The Witcher. We've talked about that.
Did you already watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I played the shit out of the game, but I have not watched the show
I'm surprised
yet.
you haven't watched The Witcher.
Well, again,
what's wrong with you?
I have a wife that I'm watching all these shows with. So.
Well, come on, Rebecca.
I know, right?
Don't hold this man's dreams back.
Yeah, so that's on our list. That's probably next after Lost in Space.
It's good. I haven't played any of the games. I know you've said
so you didn't have that relatable part of it.
I mean, obviously the relation it's like a big. I knew it was a big game, but I think this is based off the novels, right? So my wife knew about the novels, and so Yeah, she loved it. So, even so much as like she was like, I could definitely watch that again. I mean, that's how I felt about like the latest Star Wars movie. I actually enjoyed it. But then again, the issue with so many people in like the Star Wars movies, and I'm not talking about like the prequels. The prequels, again, I'm just surprised Disney allows, like, why wouldn't they have gone in? Like, J.J. Abrams was the director for this one, right? So,
Yeah.
why don't you just fucking stick with the same director so shit doesn't get weird? Like, that, no, I mean, honestly, like, whatever director it is, it blows my mind that, like, that's one of the complaints people have, too, is that, like, the story and how, like, the director can just be like, oh yeah, Jedi are aliens, and that's where they get the powers or something. Like they could literally just make something up, and it's like, oh okay, let's go with it. But then the next movie, it's like, oh no, they're bioengineered, from.
Consistency is nice.
So to me, it's like I don't know how that's possible. Disney in control of the helm now. It's like you'd think they'd be like, hey, we set this is the, because right, they dictate what is canon or whatever, and you think like, hey, we want this to I don't, but as far as the movie, I actually really liked it. Obviously, spoiler alert, stormtroopers die.
God damn it.
I'm sorry.
No point in even going to see it now.
Yeah. Amount of death in Star Wars movies too, by the way, and how it's just totally played off.
Dude, so speaking of Star Wars movies and death, so Micah's been begging to watch Star Wars for a while now. And Rebecca and I have been like, well, is she old enough? Because that's the thing really with Star Wars. It's just a lot of violence, right? Not gore. I mean, sometimes hands or arms are cut off with a lightsaber or whatever, but it's not gore. There's not any unnecessarily blood splatter everywhere or whatever.
There's death.
But there's a lot of violence, a lot of blasters and people blowing up or whatever. And so we just kept like putting it off and not quite. But we watched the Harry Potter movies and there's some shit in that's kind of scary. So we thought, we could do it. And so we started, this was maybe 5 or 6 days ago. She's watched episode 1, 2. We skipped 3 because of Anakin getting, fucking totally, 3 was basically
killing
the
roughest
younglings. Of them. Yeah. Just all that stuff. So we basically summed it up for, then we watched 4, 5, and we just finished with Return of the Jedi last night.
Well, honey, he murdered all the children.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Man, you're already lying to her, man.
No, we didn't lie.
Failure. This is a cold world, Darren. Remember all those conversations we've had?
But dude, she is fucking so into Star Wars now. She wants to watch 7, 8, and 9. She wants to watch the cartoon. Like she's obsessed with Star Wars now. So it's happened with my child finally. And I told her, I was watching these when I was younger than you.
Yeah, you didn't.
So it's cool. It's full circle.
You should have slotted Rogue One in there because that would have been fitting, like before those episodes.
I wanted to, but again,
Rogue One
was a little bit dark. Otherwise, I would have. But she's so into it, dude, and she loves. I was just. It was so. We were on the couch watching Return of the Jedi, and she just was so into it, and it was a magical moment. Felt really good.
So. Let's talk though, because is it that the stories and scripting is bad? Is that a part? I mean, I think that's a factor. I'm sure like some people are like, oh, I didn't like the story or how they handled it. And can you also, is it a part of maybe a generational, or like what your imagination can be one thing and then what you get on the screen and it doesn't line up? So it's a
franchise.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's a franchise with fanatics. And so whenever you have a franchise with fanatics,
we don't know anything about that. So
yeah, right. I'd say Star Wars, Star Trek, and BattleTech. And so when you have fanatics, it's just going to be more volatile. And like when Matrix came out, right? You can't go, oh, but that's not the way I envisioned Matrix. Nobody knew anything about it, so it was just out. And so I feel like there's a lot of factors that are in there. There's a lot of people that are older, like me, that go, that's not my Star Wars. That's not what I remember. That's, and I basically, after episode 7, which, like I realized I wasn't into the new movies as much as I was into the old movies. What I liked about the new movies was the
But you're in a
cameos by
different
the
part
old
of
actors.
life.
Yeah, and so what I realized basically is that I'm okay with these Star Wars, these new ones, not being what I love. That they're not the perfect Star Wars for me, because I feel like in a big way they weren't really made for me. Some people will get mad and get upset and they say, yes, it was. It's made for the fans. But you got to realize the fans of that Star Wars are now 40s, 50s, 60s as far as age, and Disney is who owns it, and they're obviously trying to capitalize on kids and the younger generation. Do I feel like they went way too far as maybe pursuing some, you know, Disney-esque things to the, like trying to make it too inclusive at a, while compromising maybe story? Now, am I saying I don't want women and, as leads or non-white people? Not at all. I love all that stuff. The more diverse it can be, the better, and that's cool. However, the story is what matters to me most. And having watched all, 1 through 6 now, I just realized I had my time, and I'm super happy that I had my Star Wars, which was 4, 5, and 6. And, I'm not going to bang my head against the wall and be upset about these not being what I experienced back when I was 10 years old, plus or minus. It's just a different time. I'm a different person. There are
Sure.
different people in charge of it. So it is what
But
it
then
is.
I see comments like Magic in chat, like where I watched the last one, right, that just came out, and I liked it. But I didn't go in with any preconceived notions. I went in with like, I'd seen the last one. I'd seen all the movies. Like, I don't read any novels. I don't keep up to date. I'm not a fanboy, I guess, as far as like, I'm not a true fan. Like, I don't read the novels. I don't play in the tabletop games. I don't, like, I don't own any memorabilia. Like, I would say I enjoy Star Wars, but like, and I enjoyed it, like, so I don't know. I'm torn because like, you could say something like what you just said, which is like, well, that's just how Disney basically cancels out criticism, right? They're just like, oh, well, our fans are fanatics, right? But what happens is the experience of all the other people that actually did enjoy it, is that just not as valid as someone who says, well, I didn't enjoy
No,
it for X,
everything,
Y, or Z?
obviously that we're talking about something that's extremely subjective, right? Now you can go to Rotten Tomatoes and you can see movies that have like 99% of the people that watched it loved it, or 1% of the people that watched it loved it, and you can tell that, okay, that's
Well,
probably
am
going to
I
be a good
wrong?
movie.
Like that's the thing, is
No, of
like,
course not.
but that's how I feel, is like, well, I'm not wrong for saying I enjoyed it. And actually I wouldn't
Well, this
mind
is
going and
all
seeing it again, right? Like,
this is individual, and if
yeah.
you enjoyed it, then fuck anybody who says you shouldn't.
Yeah, right.
Like, absolutely enjoy it. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse. Like, I'm not saying Disney should be able to say this has a fandom and therefore or fanatics, so therefore we're not gonna be able to make a good movie. All I'm saying is, me personally, I'm not gonna gnash my teeth over it. I don't give a shit. I thought the Star Wars movies were done after the prequels, because that's basically what George Lucas said, and I didn't really like the prequels compared to 4, 5, and 6, and so I was, in my mind, I was already, okay, well, that's the end of Star Wars, and that's fine. And so now, if the, money is going to talk, and if people go and they make a shit ton of money, they're going to make more of them. If people go and they fail, then they'll have to choose their decision. Now, what I do see, and I like, if I can take one thing that am liking out of the Star Wars franchise right now, is that I do feel like maybe it's because the quote unquote failure of 7, 8, and 9. Of course, financially, they're not a failure, but some people will view them as a failure because not as many people like them, or not the right people liked it, or whatever. But what I do see is, like, for example, Jon Favreau, who did Mandalorian. I believe I just saw that he's signed up to do a trilogy now. And so, like, a series of movies. So what I like is that they're taking somebody who did something good, who's a good writer, who's a good director, who makes good Star Wars, and they're taking that John and going to apply him to a series or whatever. I don't even know what they're calling him, but there's going to be more, 1, 2, and 3 Star Wars. So if they continue doing that and kind of figure out who's doing it the best, and their goal is to make the best Star Wars, then I think there's a positive and bright future. Otherwise, it's not going to ruin my life,
I think you could argue, like, sometimes just being a casual, like, fan a hell of a lot better for you mentally.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, so we've talked enough about that.
What is this, a Star Wars podcast?
Yeah, Mandalorian was good. I would definitely, if you haven't watched it, I would watch it. I don't know if I think you said, is Disney Plus worth it? It's like $6.99, and I think that bundles a lot of people that have Hulu and stuff like that. But I've watched it. I enjoyed it. I can't wait for season 2 and then other stuff as well. Yeah, as far as books, I'm not reading because I don't know where my fucking Harry Potter book 4 is, because
What?
She packed.
Oh.
Because in the adjacent room we have basically like twice as many. Well, no, about the same. We have a lot of shelves, and we had to organize, and she had to downsize as far as books and stuff. So, let's talk about games. Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah, I saw you were streaming
Have you played?
I have not played it. I feel like that is pretty much the opposite of the game that's made for me. I will have a freaking heart attack. There's too much.
No, dude. You played the shit out of DayZ.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. But hey,
I think you'd like it. You could sneak
I've been watching
around.
people play it forever.
Yeah, you can sneak. I've only played like twice, so I need to stream and more and stuff like that. But like, I can see the allure of it because it takes away all of the nuances of like first person shooters, like HUD and knowing where you are and how much ammo count, where your friendlies are. It strips away. It puts you got to listen. You got to know the map and the layouts and all those type of things. I think you'd enjoy it. That being said, from my perspective, it's going to take me a while to get a good grasp. Like, how many hours? I would say you're probably going to need to put in 100+ hours to feel where you're not competent, but
there's
comfortable.
map knowledge. There's all equipment shit. So yeah, I mean, I've watched it. I think it's a great game. I think they did something really unique, and I think that's awesome. When somebody takes a chance and does something. And look how long that game was out there before it really started getting popular. It's been out forever.
And it's still in beta. They're still they refresh it every few months, so stats don't fucking matter. So,
but Disrespect's playing it, Summit's playing it. I'm seeing all the big people playing it now, and so it's maybe come of age, essentially.
Some of those Sacriel, and I know someone had played it before, way back before it was like popular. The popularity boom recently was because the Twitch event, which, by the way, watching the Drop Frame podcast, they're 100% right. Any game, and actually my mod team for Mech 5, one of the things we're going to look at is, can we integrate any type of Twitch integration? Because the amount of interactivity and it's huge. It's monumental. Basically, Sacriel saying is he averaged around 3,000 viewers playing it. The event went on, and he was averaging 10,000. And then people were asking, well, is it just the event? What happens when they leave? He's averaging around like 7,000. So that over doubled his viewership, and people are still hanging around. So there has to be something there. And I think the kicker with those guys is they're competitive and they love shooters. I've watched all of those guys play the shit out of PlayerUnknown, Fortnite, Apex, Call of Duty, Black. I've seen them play all of the stuff. And what the issue you run into is they play the shit out of them. They have hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of hours. They get bored. And then you throw in a game like this that, from a skills perspective, you have to actually have skill. And you can see them have amazing plays. And then also, too, is you can see that a really amazing player can wrong situation, wrong time. They're getting fucked up for the whole 8-hour stream. And anyways, I can see the allure. It's because you can, for those that don't know, too, it's like a survivalist shooter, looter shooter, but you can lose shit. So if you take in a lot of stuff and someone pops you, they can come steal all of your loot, and you just, you did that, right? There's no real world money involved. Yeah. So the first thing that pops into my mind is why is that mechanic so, outside of just Tarkov, why is that so alluring? And I think it's just because of high risk versus very high potential reward. Right? You can take that away from. That's where I think Eve came from, right? The idea that Eve right? And so in my mind, as fucked up as this is, Darren, the first thing that I see when I play other games, this is my problem, Darren. Can I just be open with you?
Be open. Be honest now that you finally can.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Anytime I play any game, the thing that goes through my head, could we do this with BattleTech? Like, that's what fucking happens in my head. Like, can we, this mechanic, could we do that in MechWarrior title? Or, oh, look at this RTS, can we do that in Mech Commander? Like, that is in my head. Like, any game, card game, I play Hearthstone, I watch Slay the Spire, any of these fucking games, and I'm like, that would be a really good BattleTech game. Like, that's how much, like, I love the IP. Like, it's Escape from Tarkov, I need to just dive in and just play it. Cool. Tonight, how about we do that? Do you guys want to? Tonight, we're gonna stream it. I'll stream it over on my channel tonight. I've got to work
Twitch.tv/Tiny Terrier, some Tarkov tonight.
I'm dropping the link in the chat.
Yeah. Now I saw you. Actually, I said that you played Tarkov last night, but actually you played War Thunder.
War Thunder.
You were back in tanks. How was that?
It felt good. It's funny, actually. One of my best rounds last night is I was dropping with Dr. Demos, True North, and Laurent, and they all died, and I'm in my super Pershing, and I go on a fucking murdering spree, and I'm just like casually talking. I've got this great, like, just
how many kills you get?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I just murdered everything. It was just I barely even got shot.
We'll have to play our super Pershings. I haven't touched War Thunder in probably 6 months or more.
I haven't played it because
I love the American tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably about 4 months ago. I was trying to balance streaming on my personal channel and streaming on NGNG TV, and I just couldn't do it. I had to dedicate
too much
one, and obviously, our contract. And so, I love the casualness, and I have to play it casually. I do have premium time. I had like a few days. I had 7 days I could activate, so I did that, and then my buddy gave me 20. So I'll play it casually. But this is my issue with all these games, and this is one thing that I love about MWO, which is I don't have to fucking grind the tiers. I hate, loathe, it's disgusting. I hate that. I hate it. It's the worst thing ever. Like, it drives me away. World of Warships, the grind in it, like World of War, like all of them. So with at least tanks, I just have to play casually and just have fun with a group of buddies. But the one thing you run into very fucking quickly in that game is when you get higher in the tiers and you don't have premium time, and even if technically you do, you start losing income. Like at this like 6 range, if you're not doing well in matches, you can't even fucking play. And like, it's such a mechanic to drive you to get premium. And then to me, that I have to like just recognize that it is what it is and just go in there and have fun. I just have to.
Yeah, that's a mindset thing, I think. Side Strafe, he used to be, like we would talk, and his thing was always, he didn't care about the grind. Like, he wouldn't pay attention to the grind. In other words, he wouldn't go in and get, premium vehicles or whatever premium stuff, or, buy the premium time. He would just enjoy where he's at, period. Whatever tank he's in, whatever plane he's in, whatever ship he's in, he would just focus on that and enjoy the time in that space. And that is a total mindset. I struggle with it because I'm always looking ahead at what I want next. And so I get totally sucked right into that grind mode. And I have to work hard at just enjoying where I'm at in the moment. Enjoy that tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 vehicle,
And you're a, as I call them, Pokemon collector, right? Like, you got to collect them all, right?
Well, yeah, not Pokemon, but vehicles. Yes. Like, I love having everything. Yeah. So when I'm grinding, I go from left to right across a list, and then I go down the next tier and go, and I get them all. And it's like an OCD thing. And so if I work really hard at it, I can get out of that mindset and just enjoy where I'm at and not focus on what I'm grinding for or whatever. But it's not easy for me, and I know it's not easy for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's one of those free to play mechanics that I was so glad that MWO didn't fall down that route. I could have easily seen it going that route too.
No doubt.
But they chose something that was not the norm. So, yeah, so we've got that. Another game that I'm gonna play, and it's ready to roll, and it's something I'm super excited for, is Titanfall 2, the campaign.
Oh, good for you, dude.
I've heard it's I remember you played it and you said, I remember,
Absolutely,
and I quote, you
the
said,
best.
yeah, you said, and I quote, that was the best single player campaign I've played in a very long time.
Yeah.
And so
I'll say another one that's right up there with it, and something you should also look at, is The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3.
But
yeah.
yes, however, Titanfall 2, the single player campaign, man, you have a good time ahead of you. That's just an excellent story, excellent game.
Yeah, actually, I think Ferret was threatening me that I need to play that before I play some more Tarkov. I do need to play it. So the thing,
do it.
Because he sent me a message. He says, this is the best MechWarrior game I've played, single player MechWarrior game. And we've talked a lot about this, and from me being like, because the mods and stuff are available now, I think what I want people to do is play a multitude of games. Don't stick to the same things that have been done for previous MechWarrior games or whatever. Come up with new ideas. Come up with new challenges. Should mechs animations be this way? Can we change things? Should we change things? Scale, how weapons work, stuff like that. Go to other games, and when you're playing it, be like, oh, well, this could work. This would be really good. Or something like. All I'm saying is, like, not the whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is more like, could it be done in a different way that maybe evolves it or brings it to the next level? I've talked a lot about this with mechs with arms and stuff like that, having tabletop values, and how it just doesn't make sense with like how arms fall off or, get blown off so easy, and there's really no benefit from them, and blah, 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 blah. And like, or hit locations, like, not why do we have them, but ask yourself, why do we have them? What is their function? What is their function in tabletop? And why do we like them in tabletop? And does any of that cause issues in a first-person shooter? And then is there any solutions or creative solutions or imaginative solutions that can address or fix those things? And that's what I'm looking at, is like, I brought this up with someone did a HUD mock-up for Mech 5. And it was like, the classic like HUD green lines and stuff. Yeah, it looked good. It did. But that's what I expect like a MechWarrior old game to look like. What I'm saying is, I'm challenging you, come up with new stuff. And that's where I'm looking forward to Titanfall 2, because one of the things that when I first played Titanfall 1, you get in the mech, it's completely sealed off, by the way, and then it has the HUD displayed internally. And if you read the fucking novels, guess what that is? That's a mech. That's when you get in a Centurion, you have these viewports, but they're like secondary, tertiary backups of backups. Like, it's like, if shit hits the wall, technically, yes, you can see out of the mech and you can use this. It wasn't this simple, like, F-14 Tomcat HUD, it was very complex. And so when I first saw the Titanfall thing, the HUD and how it works, I'm like, Jesus, that looks amazing. That would be great in a MechWarrior title or something like that. And then animations. I've never, ever, I've been so critical of this throughout the years. I've never liked the MWO robot animations. Like, I've never liked that. And I remember asking at the thing, I think it was Brian Ekman years ago, like, and he said, well, the creative artist, I think Dennis or whatever, chose that direction, and that's the direction. Hey, that's cool. You chose it. I just don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't like this. I want the animations to be organic and stuff. And when you see the Titans run, or you see like a character, like a human character in the novels, it talks about mechs being eerily human-esque, and like it's unsettling. I think
an example might be what's that movie, the big movie that comes out with the robots,
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I think, is that the kind of style
you're
thinking?
But imagine scaled down. It's sort of like Chappie or stuff like that. Like
those, scaled down, but that kind of, it's still robotic, but it's also fluid.
It's it's like having a human character walk around, but it's a 20-foot tall mech. Mech 5 does not move the bar any. Like, there are a few mechs, albeit the light mechs. Javelin is one of those. The Assassin is one of those, where They have actual walk and then run animations where there's flight. So that's really fucking cool. And the arm swing, I don't know why they went like like if a mech doesn't have a weapon in the arm and it's a heavy, it just sort of just does this. Like that's all. Fucking just make it. Let's get that. And then the second problem with the animations on some, even those, is that they don't have the organic footfall of almost a foot in front of a foot, or that sort of how your hips and stuff, when you move side, you do all these things. It's still robotic. So it's foot placement basically like this instead of in front and in line. So, and scale too is another big thing with Mech 5, that it wasn't, MWO, they chose scale as far as what they did. And the issue with it, in my opinion, is that they've made mechs so goddamn big. Like,
did you say so big?
Yes, they're fucking huge. An Atlas was supposed to be around 12 meters tall.
36 feet.
36 feet. A javelin is almost that tall. A javelin, by the way. So the issues that creates is that you took a mech and its representation from the tabletop or artwork, which is fine in those contexts. But as soon as you bring that into a first-person shooter like MWO, and you make a mech significantly bigger than another counterpart that may be a little bit smaller, but it can pack X amount of firepower, guess what? One gets obsolete, and we've seen that. The Direwolf, the Atlas, like all those mechs that couldn't just, like, they just get hosed because they're so fucking big. Like, ridiculously big, and proportions, they're too fat and stuff like. And that's one thing from an art perspective. I love Alex's work, or Alec. Alex, whatever. Glacius.
Alec is
flying debris, if that's your real name. I love his work, but the one thing I don't like is that it's this like perpetual like, oh, 100-ton is significantly bigger than a 75-ton mech, or a 75 is significantly bigger than a 55-ton. The problem is we got this weird notion in our head that tonnage means size and scale, when the reality of it is you've picked up a block of metal, right? Like aluminum versus steel.
Density you're talking about.
Yeah, it's fucking completely different. You're like, holy shit, this thing's light. I wouldn't suspect that. And then you try to pick up a gold bar. You know, like
volume doesn't equal weight.
Yeah, and so
it's density.
Yeah, and the problem is proportions, and this is where I challenge modders out there, and I would even say PGI. The only problem with that is like some of these things are subjective, I guess, and so I don't suspect that.
and decide, and their design direction decisions.
Yes.
In other words, they said this is what we're going to do.
And you know, Mark, I know Mark's in chat. He can't just be like, okay, well, I'm doing all this. No, he's got to follow the directive of his boss, and it is what it is. That's why I think it falls on modders to say, if you have a vision for Mech Warrior and Mech 5 and modding Mech 5, it's going to be up to you. And I would say that use your imagination. Don't hold down, you know, like there are things. Back. Yeah. And that's why I'm looking forward to, I know we were sort of going towards, I was talking about Titanfall 2, but that's why I'm looking forward to it, because from a storyline campaign, I've heard so many things, heard so many people talking about it. I'm looking forward to it. And I feel like that's what a lot of people were wanting. In Mech 5, people wanted that storyline campaign, and they didn't get that, what they're used to. They got this obviously, as Russ said, they're not the best storytellers, but it looked like a piecemeal story sort of thrown together, and it wasn't displayed very well to the player. Like as far as the intro, I was so disappointed that the intro cinematic to the game was what it was. It should have been like you go and talk to Rihanna. Oh, well, can you tell me a little bit about history or something? And then that played. Like, that's what I was expecting. Like, it was like a, more informative thing, like, but as an intro. But I guess my point being is like the intro cinematic where your dad dies, spoiler alert. It was just, to me.
Is that really a spoiler though?
It always happens, right? Mech 4, your daddy's died. Revenge. Right? So,
sorry, I derailed you.
No, it's into the modders' hands, I feel. And some people are going to be upset, be like, well, PGI shouldn't rely on the modders. They're not. What I'm saying is you have the opportunity to create what you feel.
Take it in a different direction.
Yes, and try things that escalate the IP and aren't just like, oh, well, we've done this in the past, blah, blah, blah. And that's why, I talk about like mechs and animations, hit locations. What does it mean to have Indo and Pharaoh and XL engines and Myrmor muscle fiber? What does those things mean? Like, and you can put your own stamp on it. And that's where I'm really looking forward to. And obviously I've already seen the modders section is the people are already diving into. I do think there are some the hiccups though. It looks like there are.
Well, hold on. Let's take this into the next topic, which is MechWarrior 5, MechWarrior Online, BattleTech, etc. So yes, what day was it released? Yesterday or the day before?
Monday.
So Monday, the mod tool. What is it called?
It's basically it's Unreal Engine, the editor, and it's basically the entire build kit of how Mech 5 was done. All the files, so all that was assets, released, everything.
So a little easier for people to mod, but there's obviously more steps that need to happen.
Yeah, there's a few tools that are in there that like they created, but then some of them aren't, and stuff like that. So, basically, if like you wanted to,
it's the next step.
Create Mech 5, you can click build and it builds the entire thing. So you can go in there and edit to your heart's content, technically.
So do you expect now with this being available that we're going to start seeing that? I don't know how many mods are out like on Nexus right now, 10 or 12 or something like that. Do you expect now that this has been released to see more of those coming quicker?
It's already happening.
Yeah.
Like someone I think was already showing, like for instance, weapon stuff and like that. It's easy because you can take like the UAC 10 or burst fire or LB 10 and you could just modify them to be 20s or 5s or 2s. So like all of that I feel like is going to be done really quick. Like that is not hard coded. And what I mean by hard coded is, so PGI, some of the systems are done in C++ and they're locked. So you don't have access to those. The majority of other stuff is called blueprints. So basically it's like easily scriptable. They're like scripts so people can go in there. And that's what some people are running into is some of these things are hard coded and they don't have, ability to edit, right? So like for instance, I don't have an example, but like X, Y, and Z, if you wanted to do it, well, if it's hard coded and you don't have access to it, you can't alter, someone says hard coded is not the same as in data table. Yes. And I'm sure I may be butchering, but my point being is like, so now the question I have for PGI would be, why are these hard coded and why not why are they, it would be like, why are these, are they locked out and can you open those up, and that's where I was hoping the relationship with the community would be like, hey, now that the tools are out, as you guys dive in and learn, and obviously they've been very open about that as far as like, hey, we released this early, to where you guys can do things, learn, dive in. And so that's where I'd ask the modders and mod teams that are forming, you need to be able to go and say, okay, hey, features X, Y, and Z are hard coded. We'd really like access to them. Is there any particular reason why we don't have access? And would you be willing to give us access to that? And from PGI standpoint, I think when I first talked to them last year or a year ago or whatever, when we were at MechCon, the only answer I got was everything's going to be pretty much accessible except for if it has to do with the stability of the client. And I think I was told there might be a few other things that are locked out, but if it doesn't impact that, then I don't see any reason why we can't unlock that and give access to that. But that being said, that's their prerogative. So I just don't think, like for instance, if they allow mechs, like right now you can make your own mechs. You can bring mechs, you can make the Timberwolf, right? You could do that right now. So if they're allowing that type of stuff, I don't see why they wouldn't allow access to other things. Like, because if anything, it helps them, because regardless of whatever is going on with Mech 5, if people are able to mod and create these things, their buddies are going to buy Mech 5 down the road, whether it's on sale or regardless of wherever PGI is, right? Regardless if they've moved on, regardless if they're moving on to DLC of whatever, the only issue I see is doesn't impact what their plans are. But if they allow all this other stuff, I think all the modders have to do is come up with like, hey, it'd be great if we had access to this, you know, and why not? Like, so, and by the way, there is a modding section on the official Discord. And there is access directly to the devs there as well. If you're a mod team, I think too, the cool thing is they're going to have like this separate channel for builders. Like specifically, so it's not like, for instance, if you're a mod team, like my team, I have Wyrot, Unnatural, we have Dark, and we have myself. We're looking at modding Mech Commander. So like, luckily we already have access to that channel.
Now,
so,
to clarify, that doesn't mean you're taking Mech Commander and modding that. You're talking about taking Mech Warrior 5 and making Mech Commander using,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it. So you're obviously looking at something significant, like a you know, if you can do that,
no.
well, compared to just throwing in a new mech or making your own mission or whatever. So so it's going to be interesting to follow along with how that process goes with you, because that will also, in my mind, reflect on how likely it is that other people, like, for example, Sater just mentioned the Mech Warrior Living Legends team, other people coming in and trying to mod their own version of a game. Are they here?
Yeah, I think the Living Legends guys, as far as my understanding, and it makes sense. Like, to me, guys, if anything, how I felt, and for those that don't fucking know, because I've had people reach out and be like, hey, would you be willing to stream Living Legends? Dude, I did that fucking 10 years ago.
We did it 10 years ago.
you like your Stormcrow? I did the 3D model for that. I'm still so proud of that.
You don't like your Stormcrow?
You don't like it? Blame this guy. My point being is, they're like, there's so many people that have been like, oh, Living Legends, it's so much better than MWO. You're fucking off your rockers. No, it isn't. It's different. There's some really cool game modes, and I will agree there. I fucking like some of the aspects of Living Legends, and I've wanted, so, but there's so much pride sometimes, people, and like the cool thing to hate, you know, blah, blah, blah. Get off your fucking high horse, jump on board the Mech 5 mod scene and go wild and create something that's pretty badass. That's what, like, drop the pride thing and be like, oh, we can just do it so much better. It's like, or you can actually like have a game that looks good and performs good and stuff like, and don't give me, trust me, I was there with the Living Legends team. I know all of, you know, like, don't try to sell me something. But my point being is, jump into Mech 5 and do things that have like, make that PvE or hell PvP. I mean, there's 4 people. So technically, I don't know how hard it would be to create PvP just 4-on-4 or 12-on-12 or what. I don't fucking know. So yeah, like, let's see what comes out of it. But as far as low hanging fruit, weapons, I think mechs are going to go in hard. Like, I think all this is available. I think some of the stuff that I've seen, I think Navid was posting in the mod general, and it had to do with their speed is different, like the behind the scenes. And Wyrot, if you can tell me, the problem is, you know, a mech goes 64 kph, right? And so you go to the mech and you're expecting to be able to just set the speed or whatever, but it's not exactly like that behind the scenes. So either a tool has to be made for this or conversion or something like that. It's something, again, I'm just sort of talking on my ass here, but certain things like that aren't one-to-one, right? They're using like Unreal Engine units and stuff like that. But yeah, Banshee says better graphically than MWO. You're out of your mind, sir. Those mechs, yeah, those textures are spot on, dude. Like, come on, like, you're reaching.
Well, subjective, right?
Well, yeah, my subjective is saying you're out of touch with reality.
Yeah, which is fine. But anyway, I'm totally looking forward to it, and so I'm glad that you know, that new piece of the puzzle was released last Monday, and I look forward to more. I want to see the mods. I want, you know, so as far as MechWarrior 5, I'm obviously going to continue streaming that on my channel. I'll be doing Bombadils, Bombardiers. Same with you know, BattleTech as well. You'll be streaming, I'm assuming, MechWarrior 5 as much as you can, and there's things that you want to stream. So yeah, I mean, that's basically, as far as news for MechWarrior 5, that's it, right? They did release the
Yeah,
mod tool.
and to be fair, I think this is version 1, and they'll release more. And that's why I was saying, like, if you're a modder and you're let's just say you have a goal or whatever, and you're running into anything that's ask. Like, do a simple write-up. Like, go to Google Docs and be like, hey, like, I'd like to be able to edit this, but this is running into, like, be respectful, obviously, because the devs, and be like, maybe even pose the question, is there a performance or is there a stability reason this is locked, or is this, something like that? Is it possibly, can it be unlocked, and blah, blah, blah? Because if you do that, again, and you're probably not the only one, why not? Like, and that's where I feel like PGI is in a unique position right now, Daeron, is like, obviously they're going to work on some type of DLC. We know that. Like, that's a given, right? We don't know how much, we don't know how far out, we don't know how many or whatever, but there's probably going to be a DLC. We all feel like that. And that's not insiders, by the way. I'm just assuming. I think even Russ on the interview, he mentioned like possibly DLCs and stuff like that. He mentioned Mech 6, which I still have no idea what that means.
Well, of course he was. Yeah, that wasn't saying Mech 6 is in the pipeline.
Like, for instance, when he mentioned clans need their whole another game, I'm like, no, introduce a new campaign with Mech 5. Why would you release a completely different title? That's like, I will pay X amount, however much for a good campaign, clan, stuff like that. Anyways, I guess my point being is, I got sidetracked here. What was I saying? I don't know. What was I saying?
We were talking about really, what Russ has said as far as DLC, what's coming up, and bringing new things to the game, clans, Mech 6.
Nah, I don't.
Anyways, yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, because we need to move on. We've that's Mech Warrior 5. You'll be able to see more of it here at NGNG TV, and of course at twitch.tv/TinyTerrier. MWO. The only thing I know about MWO right now, I know that Russ mentioned in a tweet that they're meeting over the next few days. So I'm assuming, the rest of this week and maybe into the beginning of next week, to discuss what's going to be happening with MWO. The only solid thing I have is that and I think Matt's still here, the one who created it, there is a new event and sale. It's the Winter War event and sale. You can go to mwmercs.com and see more information about that. So that's what's happening in MWO. Yeah. As far as MWO and our channels.
Do you miss it?
MWO?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. What I miss about it, though, is just, hanging around with people and playing it together. So, people are talking about the Masters Challenge. I'm going to kind of decide what's going to go on with that. And, I've been watching Starwolf's been streaming it the last few nights and sync drops. And yeah, I still think there's a lot of fun to be had in MWO. I've loved MWO. I've never played a game for as many years as I've played MWO. I've always had kind of this limit, somewhere around 5 years. I get burnt out on games, EVE Online and EverQuest 1 and World of Warcraft and all these games that I played in my Planet Side 1. It was always right around 5 years, and I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I think it's because of my love for the franchise. I've been able to last longer with MWO. But yeah, what I miss is the people in the community. Of course, I love my big stompy mechs, and I'm getting that in Mech Warrior 5, and I'm getting that in Battletech as well. But I think there's going to be reason for me to still play and stream MWO as long as it, the game continues. And so, like I said, Starwolf kind of reaffirmed that with me as has been watching him stream it the last few nights, and it is still fun. It's a good game.
But that's where I'm torn. Like, yeah, I miss it, and I think we could play and have some fun. But I said this last night on my stream. I said, if there's nothing happening with MWO, either one, I need to just play it and accept it for that's what it is and just enjoy it while it's time as it fades into the darkness. Or two, because nothing's going on, I just need to cut the cord and not play the game. And that's where, as far as the development goes, I still think there's life, but we've said that, me and you have talked about this so much, like with faction play and then Solaris and then different buckets and different populations of the game that enjoy different types of things and how it's all spread out and stuff. Like, again, just going back to just solo and group drops, I don't know if group drops I think you can do them, but I think solo is probably the quickest way you can still go. But if there's nothing going on with the development of MWO, and recognizing that, is the game going into the sunset, sort of thing. And then also, what are their plans? I don't think it makes sense, Daeron, for them to continue any type of development on MWO. I don't think it makes sense. And my reasoning for this is this. If mech sales weren't making them money to as far as profit, they weren't breaking even. Okay, so that we recognize the monetization model for MWO was great for early on, but the problem is as you got more and more mechs, it just didn't, like, it's instead of skins, like skins, you can go ham and blah, 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 and different stuff like that. That's why like Fortnite and all these other games that do really well. The problem is people weren't buying mechs because another mech could do it better. I mean, you could see it through the images of the mech and let alone the designs or tonnage. Like you knew exactly what the mech was. So what are they going to update? Faction play? What are they going to update? Solaris? I don't think it doesn't make sense from their standpoint to dedicate resources, and resources means people and money to what? Like, how are you going to fix Solaris? The problem with Solaris is the core design they went with, and same thing with faction play. Like, yes, people enjoy certain types of faction play, and I get that. But I'm saying, like, are you trying to just hold it off until a certain point? How much of this has to do with the extension with Microsoft that Russ has talked about publicly? Even if they do get an extension, does it make sense for MWO to keep going on? Does it make enough money to where keeping the doors open or putting resources into it? And then on top of that, would it not make more sense for them to dedicate and branch? Like, let's just say, I don't know what an extension looks like or the numbers. But let's just say they get one and it's enough time to where they can continue pumping out stuff for Mech 5 and MWO is on the way out, but we'd like to bring maybe a new online mechware on, some type of mechware multiplayer, I should say, because you don't want to say mechware online, a multiplayer mechware game or some type of title. Does it not make more sense to utilize this new engine and new network capability that Unreal has and all those type of things? Does it not make sense to dedicate a team for, let's just say 12 months or whatever to get that off the ground? I don't know how long it would take. Again, in the long run, does that not make sense? Because you're not making any more money off mech sales. So unless you're making good enough money off premium time and bolt-ons and paint color, I just don't think it makes sense. And that's where, again, going back to, I don't know if I want to play it because what are we doing here? I mean, for the past 2 years, we haven't had any significant development in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me a little bit like your choice of whether to play it or not is based on development, which is fine. Your reasoning is your reasoning. For me, myself, when I'm looking at it, I'm just trying to decide: do I have fun? Am I going to have fun doing that?
Sure.
And
I could do that though. To clarify, I could do that, and I think I'd be okay with that. But when I play, the issue is talking at people and being like, then you get your hopes up a little bit, like, oh, maybe, just maybe. And I don't know if I want to. I don't want to put my heart through that. All right.
Sure.
Like,
you've been hurt enough. Yeah. My feeling, and so, you will see MWO on NGNG TV. As long as I have fun playing and have fun with you guys, then I'm going to continue doing it. And like I said, it's probably going to be solo queue and doing sync drops and that kind of stuff. As far as group queue goes, from what I've been hearing from the community is that group queue is somewhat moving towards faction play, and that's how you're able to play with other people. And maybe I'll join Star Wolf and some other people and try some faction play as well. But again, as long as I have fun with the game, then I'm going to play a game. That's what games are all about for me. So as long as I continue to have fun with MW, I'll keep playing it until I don't, or until it goes away or whatever. But that's all the news I have as far as MWO. Check out the Winter War event and sale, MWOmercs.com.
Well, and to be fair, it'd be nice to hear from you guys out there. So in the YouTube comments, or like when you see a stream or on Discords, like Reddit, how do you feel about that? Like, and of course, it'd be great to hear from PGI, because really all this means shit. None of it means a damn thing until they say, okay, this is what we're feeling, or this is the direction we're going, or hey, we were thinking about this direction. What do you think? All of this means nothing if they've already decided to go this direction or that direction. So
Yeah, I agree. And like I mentioned at the top of this topic, is that supposedly Russ mentioned on Twitter that over the next few days they're going to be discussing MWO. So I assume that soon, within a week or two or whatever, we're going to hear something. And I know that people are going to keep pestering Russ about that. So that's good. Hopefully we'll hear soon. But we don't know anything. And finally, we can say we absolutely don't know anything.
yep.
Anyway, let's talk about BattleTech Harebrained Schemes just real quick. Now, I'm going to continue playing BattleTech. I don't know what is in the works for DLC. I don't know if there's more DLC coming. I do know that Harebrained Schemes is moving on with another project. I think another game or something like that. I don't know the details, but yeah, it's non-BattleTech related.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's news. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've just had a big hiring blitz, trying to get more people. So now I'm not saying
That's speculation.
Well, I'd say I'm 75% sure or more that that's the direction it's going in from hearsay and what they've been saying on Twitter and so forth and social media.
Let me ask you, I think that sort of makes sense. I think Paradox acquired them.
Yes.
For them doing some type of their own projects as far as in-house for turn-based strategy. But also think about this. I mean, the license, again, with Russ and Microsoft, right?
They couldn't count on it.
Well, so for those that don't know, Microsoft is the IP rights owner. PGI bought the license to be able to create MWO. HBS then had to go to PGI to get basically like a sub-license, right? A licensee from that. So if PGI still doesn't know, and again, this is speculation because I don't know about the extension that Russ talked about publicly. If they haven't got that, or if they haven't been like secure, game developers have to start planning a year plus ahead. Are we going to see any more content about BattleTech? Because if PGI couldn't say, yes, we know for a certain that we're going to get an extension, that puts the HBS in a weird place, right? So, where does that go? So, I don't know. I mean, that would be that. How do you feel about that? That we wouldn't get like a BattleTech 2 or like a clan. Like, imagine if we don't get like a clan like storyline or whatever. Like that would be a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel good about it, obviously, but I understand business is business, and things happen whether you like it or not. And so, my feeling is I'm glad BattleTech is here, and then I get to play it, and that there will keep hopefully being modding and things added to it. Would I love to see another BattleTech project, BattleTech 2? Absolutely. But that such is life. We don't know what's going to happen. But I am going to continue streaming it. I'm going to continue playing it. I'll be running Bombardiers over there as well as Mech 5. So that's basically all I got for
I would be super
HBS.
Bummed. And on top of that, I'm also bummed because I feel like HBS dropped the ball on setting their game up to be fully moddable to where people can make maps and campaigns and stuff like that. I'm not saying they should have created an editor. I'm not saying like that, because they created a fucking Shadowrun editor. It was basically its own thing. Like you download it, open it up. It wasn't whatever engine they were working in. They created like you'd open it up, and I wasn't expecting that. Like you would have to know Unity, but it's sort of like what a Mech 5
Mitch
just
came
did.
out and said that would take like 2 more years of development.
Yeah, but I think what I think he's talking about is an editor. We weren't wanting an editor. I mean. We just needed their tools, basically, like Mech 5 just got. Like just give us the project, because now, if they close the door on that, the mods have all the clan mechs, all those stuff as far as that, but you can't do maps as far as my understanding. You can't mod in you can't change the campaign or any of that like that. You can't introduce anything, so that would be a real bummer, and it sucks that didn't happen. But like also too is that'd be weird that again they would be leaving sort of the BattleTech,
But understandable.
Yeah, no, I mean from a business perspective, if that's true,
yeah.
We don't know.
Jordan Wiseman, I believe, is starting not tabletop as in BattleTech, but board game company with some. I think he's like with two other partners. He's starting a board game
That
company.
dude's ambitious, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he likes to get stuff done. So, and I think I'm pretty sure that's just what's going to happen. HBS is not going to be doing new BattleTech projects, and um, it's like I said, it's why I've always said for years and years, enjoy this time while we have it, because it's a golden age, a golden era of BattleTech and MechWarrior, and it will be gone
Well,
at some
it's
point.
a scary thing, dude. Like the whole,
I know.
like people will say this. The whole extension with, like, it'd be great to hear from Russ. Like, hey, we're gonna be doing MWO
yeah.
2.0. You want to hear that fucking news, because if you don't, here's the thing, guys. Like, and again, this is no affiliation now. This is just my honest truth. Like, if it goes back to Microsoft, and this is the only silver lining here is if that were to happen, we have Mech 5 and all the mod tools, and we can do whatever the fuck we want with it.
Like people have been doing with Mech 4 for years.
Yeah, and that may be the saving grace. But if it goes back to Microsoft, I don't think MechWarrior is a big enough title to pull Microsoft into actually doing something. And maybe someone else can come along and try their hands or whatever. But if it goes back, I mean, they want, like, especially, I don't know, man. That's true. I mean, because mecha genres, I mean, again, MWO, Hawken, I would say Gears, heavy gear, but that's not even a thing. What I'm saying recently, and Titanfall. And even though I'm about, like I said, I heard Titanfall 2 is an amazing storyline, and I'm going to be playing it. It faded, right? It's not something you see. It's not someone, that, like, the masses are chanting, more. If this goes away, the only saving grace is, and I can say thank you to PGI for going that route, because I think it's smart. One, I think it's smart for them going this route, because if it goes away, they're still making money off of Mech 5 sales. And if the mod scene does what I think the mod scene is going to do, it's going to make something pretty amazing. And
going to give it life.
And in the long run, you're going to see, I don't see any hindrances as of right now, and talk to my guys. I don't see anybody or anything stopping us from doing the Mech Commander mod. You're going to see people continue to create story and campaigns and stuff like that. You're going to see new weapons. You're going to see clan tech. You're going to see tanks, by the way. Someone's already messing with that, so you can pilot tanks, which means VTOLs and aerospace isn't far from that, which means, what about infantry? I mean, you name it, the modders are unbelievably passionate and will get it done. So whether it happens from an official standpoint from PGI or from the mod scene, and this is where I'm sort of torn too, Darren, and I know we're sort of branching off here, but I know some people complain about, like, oh, well, PGI needs to do this. Look, they may be in a position now of saying, how about we are just facilitators? We're going to do the best we can over here, but, like, we really just need to have a solid base on the community and say, hey, what do you need? What do you need from this? Oh, it doesn't stop it's not performance. There's no issues. Sure. Let's get it to you, because, again, especially if there's no extension, again, we don't know. If anything,
it would drive sales.
Yeah, it drives sales, and in the long run, it still makes some money. So I still feel like it's a win-win from the community's perspective and from theirs. So
yeah, Ferret says that he doesn't believe that only PGI can make MechWarrior, and that's certainly not what we're saying. We're saying that nobody else will want to.
No, will want to. I mean, think about that. That's the scary part. Is, yes, would it be awesome to see, like, Respawn instead of Titanfall? They reach out and do that. Do you think that's fucking realistic?
No. And some people are saying, it won't die, it'll be back. And yeah, maybe that's true, but it might be 20 years again, And so it's going to be too long for me. I'm going to be in the old folks home by then. So, and yeah, I do believe that MechWarrior 5 is, like, the hope as far as giving it a lifespan, of more than a few years or whatever. There's going to be more facility to mod it than there have been in previous titles, and so that is where my hope lies. But we're talking about BattleTech right now.
Yeah, let's switch over. Last one, we talked about HBS
Catalyst. Yeah, let's move into Catalyst.
Yep.
So the only thing I've seen, they have had a couple updates for the the backers. The most recent being the dice. They've got the faction dice up, which, ever since I was a kid, and playing role playing games back when I in the early 80s. I love dice, and recently, especially with the creation of basically new materials for making dice, like the metal ones that we got at MechCon. Dice are just freaking awesome. I still love dice. It's like little jewels to me. And I love my dice bag is right over there with all my little jewels in it. So
What
anyway,
you call it, your dice bag?
yeah, that's my dice bag with all my jewels. But anyway, they got the faction dice out there. I love it. I want them, and to add to my jewel collection. So that's the only thing I saw. Do you know anything else?
The Clan Invasion box sets, the artwork covers.
Oh yeah.
There's two. There's the Timberwolf that you saw,
Yep.
and then which is the mass Kickstarter
Market version. Yes.
Yeah, there's two. There's a mass market version, and then there's the Kickstarter version. And I'm not sure which one is which. One has a Timberwolf, and then one has like a bunch of mechs and stuff. And they released it in the fucking email. And then sorry, I was just focusing so much on you and your dice. I just
were you picturing my dice bag?
Your dice bag. Yeah. Yeah, so nothing crazy there. Nothing, I mean, they were scheduled for March, weren't they? March was when it was supposed to ship.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I know that from talking to them at the party up in Vancouver in December, they are so busy. Like Randall is just overwhelmed.
Would have done it.
Yeah. He basically said that they're going to fulfill everything that they obviously promised in the Kickstarter, but if he had to do it over again,
he wouldn't.
He said he would not have done nearly as many
dude,
factions.
They were so ambitious.
They were very ambitious, and they're paying for it now.
Yeah.
Both as far as just
time,
work time, but also financially. But anyway, regardless, we're so happy that they broke all kinds of records with Kickstarter, and then it's happening. So we're gonna enjoy. We've got some stuff being shipped to us soon, and it'll be fun to get those.
Yeah, I remember when they were doing that, and I was like, okay, like that's a, because I was worried, are they still gonna break? Are they making profit off of it? Right, especially all the shipping and stuff like that. It's one of those where you're just like, all right. Anyways.
That is it. So that's going to be the podcast for today. Obviously went way over time. I think we almost did 2 hours here. But we had some news. Yeah, no, of course. It's fun. Hey, you know what, guys? This is it. Phil and I have been doing this for a very long time, and we've always genuinely loved doing the podcast together and being with you guys. And that's going to continue. So Phil, before we close it up, do you mind just again reiterating where people can find you, how they can support you, and what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so if you'd like to continue watching me stream on a daily basis, head over to my Twitch channel, and I'll go ahead and drop that in chat. That is twitch.tv Tiny Terrier. There you go, Tiny. And of course, if you guys want to support me, you can subscribe. We got pretty awesome emotes. Partial though, because they're based off my dogs. I've got a Patreon as well that we just went live with. I've already got 4 supporters. Thank you guys to who you are. And then I do have a YouTube, but I haven't put anything there yet, and the information's over on my Twitch channel. But really just head over to the Twitch channel, hang out. Again, we're going to be playing something different today. Slept in today, so I'll be up probably late, so we'll be streaming late tonight.
There goes your schedule.
It's already fucked. That's what happens when oh God, it's 6 a.m. Like, I don't even.
They Ferret, you're absolutely 100% right. They are awesome emotes at
look at those
rates.
Emotes. Like, those are damn cute. Like, I'm awesome. And so
cool, man.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, so if you like Ferret's emotes, and who wouldn't, you can continue getting new ones over at Tiny Terrier as well. And maybe I can get some amazing, excellent rates from Ferret as well to update some of mine. But anyway, that's awesome, dude. I've been enjoying watching your stream and checking out new games, and I hope everybody continues to do that. I already know they are. So because we have the most awesome community out there. So that is going to be it for today's podcast. We'll be here again next week, same place, same time. Not really same time, because it'll be the day early. It'll be next Wednesday. as long as that schedule works for us. So thank you for tuning in today, guys. We totally appreciate it. This podcast is supported by you, the viewer. Please consider supporting us by a variety of ways. Specifically, you can sub to the channel down below, or is it up above? Up above. And, that's a great way to support the channel, continuing the NGNG podcast and my streaming schedule, which will be starting Monday. You can also become a patron on Patreon. The link is down below as well. And of course, if you're doing any shopping on Amazon, please consider using my link. It doesn't add any money to the cost of your order, but it does give me a little kickback as support. And those are the best ways to support the podcast currently. I'm going to be revamping the channel a little bit over the coming month, and we'll, more info will be out there. But more than ever, both Phil and myself need your support. It's basically 100% you guys at this point. Moving forward, we're both going to be attempting to do this full time. Sorry, I got a phone call coming in. Cut that off. We're both going to do this full time because we love it. We love being with you guys. We love playing games. We love BattleTech and MechWarrior, and we want to do this. We've been doing it for 8 or 9 years, and we don't want to stop. So with your support, we can continue. We appreciate all the support you've given us over the last 8 or 9 years, and we look forward to many more years to come. You can also be sure to check out NGNG at the website at NoGutsNoGalaxy.net, on Twitch here at NGNG TV, YouTube at NoGutsNoGalaxy TV, Twitter at NoGutsNoGalaxy, Facebook at NoGutsNoGalaxy Podcast, SoundCloud at NoGutsNoGalaxy, and the new podcast is up there, so you can go check that out today. And for all the latest and greatest in mech porn t-shirts and mugs, be sure to check out NoGutsNoGalaxyStore.com. This was your local No Guts No Galaxy Mech Warrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. This is Daeron.
And this is Phil.
Until next time, Mech Warriors.
Hey, you'll get